Test 1, 2. Just hear how that's. All right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I hope that you're doing well. I missed you all last week, but it was nice to be able to recharge my batteries. Now, some feedback we got after our wonderful Cantor Search weekends was that people like Zoom and being able to see each other. So either next week or the week following, we'll start seeing about doing our Friday nights on Zoom. But hopefully with everyone getting vaccinated, we'll be able to be together maybe outside when the weather gets nicer really soon. So, with that said, we are going to begin on page 2. How about we'll start, here we go. We'll start on page 100. I don't know which page actually. I'll just start off by singing how good it is for us to be together with Hine Matov. Hine Matov umanayim shevet ahim gam yahad. Hine Matov umanayim shevet ahim gam yahad. Hine Matov shevet ahim gam yahad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yahad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yahad. And how beautiful it is that we get to celebrate Shabbat together and come together to end one week and just enter a state of restfulness, of mindfulness. So let's sing about how lovely today is with Shabbat. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We'll turn to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Loahem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitim Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Shalom Aleichem Malchei Hasharet Malachei Elyon Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 138. Lechadodi lekakala yala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Lechadodi lekakala yala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad Ishmianu El Hamyuchad Adonai Echad Ushmo Echad L'Shemo Tiferet V'Litgila Le'Hadodi Le'Kakala Yala 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lehadodi likrakala yala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki hi mekor haveracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshvatila Lehadodi likrakala yala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Lehadodi likrakala yala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Hitoreri hitoreri Kiva orekumi ori uri Shirda beri kivod Adonai alaik migla lehadodi likrakala yala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela lehadodi likrakala yala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela. We rise and face the entrance to greet Shabbat. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam v'simcha u'zohala toch emunei am segula boi hala lechadodi lekrakala yalla 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela lehadodi likakala yala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. We turn to page 140 for Psalm 92. Sadikata Yifrach Ke'erez Balvanon Yiskei Shetulim B'Beit Adonai B'Chatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvu B'Seva B'Shenim V'Ranim Yehiyu L'Agid Ki Yashar Adonai Tzuri Tzuri V'Lo Avlata Bo. Page 144. Yitkada V'Yitkada Shemei Rabba Ve'almadi V'Achir Tevim Lich Malchutei B'Chayechov Yomechon Ufhayedeho be'Yisrael Bagala Bagala Uvizman Kariv Bimeru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach
Le'olam Amel Maya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yipar V'Troma V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shemei Kudusha Brechu Le'ela Mikol Berchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nehemata Dahamihiram Be'alma Bimeru. Amen. So everything we've done so far is just kind of warming up and recognizing, oh, Shabbat's special. We need to get into a mindset of that this is an evening unlike the other ones of the week. This is a celebratory evening where we talk about how beautiful this day is, how good it is for us to be connected to each other, even if it's not in person yet. And also that this is a day that feels almost like a wedding, and it's a day of peace. And now that we've gotten our mindset into that, we can say, I can now focus my intentions on praying. So I don't know about you. Sometimes I come off of a stressful day, and it's hard to go from flip a switch from stress to prayer. So those songs we just did, those help us start to transition our mindset. And now it is our call to worship, the Baruch Hu, as we rise, page 146, and begin to pray. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Le'olam Va'ed Hamevorach Hamevorach Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Page 149. I haven't done this reading before. How about I do this reading from the wonderful Israeli author Amos Oz. I know that the tide is not an independent force, but merely the submission of the water to the movement of the moon in its orbit. And this orbit, in its turn, is subject to other orbits, which are mightier far than it. And so, the whole universe is held fast in the clinging grip of strong hands, the forces of earth and sun, planets and comets, and galaxies, blindly erupting forces, ceaselessly stirring in ripples of silence to the very depth of black space. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Page 150. We'll do a reading on 151 first. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Avta Amcha u'mitzvot, chokim u'mishpatim, otanu limadita, otanu limadita. Ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, ukumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatecha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kedem Malchutam Le'olam Va'ed. 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'letecha b'derech uv'shachbecha uv'chumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kirushim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lahem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohim emet. I think that the reason that we celebrated so mightily and danced and sang with joy after crossing the sea was because for the first time we were able to breathe a sigh of relief and go, whew. I don't know if any of you are movie buffs, but I think about one movie that had an analogous situation, which was the movie Argo with Ben Affleck, which described the escape from Iran by some Americans in this secret operation after the Iranian Revolution. And at the end of the movie, it's this heart-pounding moment. Sorry to ruin it. But the Americans are on a plane, and the plane is headed down the runway and is taking off. And the Iranian military realizes that those Americans had gone onto the plane with fake documents. And so they chase after the plane in their military trucks and try to stop it. And the Americans are looking out their window and seeing them doing this. And they panic, not knowing if they'll have freedom or not. And then the plane takes off. But they still aren't safe yet. Because couldn't the Iranian Air Force stop them? But it's only when they hear the pilot say, "We have now left Iranian airspace so we can begin to serve alcoholic beverages," that everyone starts cheering and crying and laughing and hugging each other, and you just see them breathe. And that's what Shabbat is supposed to be for us. That was the moment that the Israelites made it to the other side of the Sea of Reeds, where they could go, I'm free. And now, at last, I can rest. Shabbat is that moment in time for us. Let's celebrate it by singing the Mi Hamocha on page 158. Mi Hamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Hamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osefele, Nora tehilot osefele. Malachotecha ra'u vanecha, Bokei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Page 160. Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu lishalom, V'hamidenu shomrei nu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu lishalom, V'hamidenu shomrei nu lechaim. Ushmor tzeitenu, uvoenu, lechaim u'shalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu lishalom, ve'hamidenu shomrei, nu lechaim. Turn to 162, and we celebrate Shabbat, and we observe Shabbat, and we're also tonight going to call it a delight by singing both of the songs on 162. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ve'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Yesmechu b'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat. Mekadeshei, mekadeshei shvi Shabbat. Kulam yisbeu, yisbeu v'yitagu mitvudu v'echa Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei One Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha shomre 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 Shabbat v'kore one Shabbat v'hashvi'i rasita bo v'kidashto Shabbat Hamdat Yamim Oto Karata Shabbat Yismechu v'malechotecha shomre 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 Shabbat v'kore ogne Shabbat Yismechu v'malechotecha shomre 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 Shabbat v'kore ogne Shabbat Zecher Lemase v'reshit Shabbat Zecher Lemase v'reshit Shabbat Yismechu v'malechotecha shomre 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 Shabbat v'kore one Shabbat Yismechu v'malechotecha shomre 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 Shabbat v'kore oneg Shabbat. We rise for the Amidah and we pray as if everything depends on God, but remember that we're going to act as if everything depends on us. Page 164. Ananana Adonai Ananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananana Itagid Ufi Yagite Ilateha Ananana Adonai Ananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananana Ufi Yagid Tehilateha Adonai, open up my lips so my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Anura, El Elyon, Gomel Hasidim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Hastei Avot V'Imaot, U'mevig Geulah Lifnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Le'Oshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Behesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Novlim Ve'Rofeh Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha B'Givurot, Umidam Elach, Melech Memi, Umchayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lecha chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol, Atah Kadosh U'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Shim B'chol Yom Yihallelu Chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav teaches us that every word of one's prayer should be like a rose that is picked from a bush. One gathers roses, rows upon rows, until a bouquet is formed and can be offered to God as a beautiful blessing. So this time, we collect our own roses, our own bouquet of beautiful blessings and prayers to offer to God. And we continue on page 172 through 180 on our own or use this as the time for the prayers from our heart. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi v'hekyon libi lefanecha Adonai Suri Adonai Suri v'goali Ali, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai Suri Adonai Suri v'goali v'goali. We turn to page 371 and turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing of the mind, body, and spirit in Misha Berach. This week we think of the following members of our community and their loved ones. Could use a prayer of healing of the mind, body, and spirit. Include Aharon ben Avraham, Esther bat Malka, Gitalea bat Mashahana, Michael ben Manya, Shaul Mordechai ben Hana, Yisrael Isser ben Moshe, Yoshua David ben Shaul Mordechai ve Esther, Ethan Allison, Maureen Berry, Denise Dobling, Will Goldman, Sylvia Gray, Al Heitman, Sharon Hobbs, Sandy Kahn, Sharon Katz, Megan Magleby, Jamie Manson, Tyler Matthews, Janet Morley, Shari Pedersen, Cynthia Pepper, Philip Rosenberg, Cheryl Rothenberg, Gary Rubenstein, Ina Sable, Penny Spector, Angela Stefani, Linda Stern, Dustin Wallace, Lauren Weiss, Judy Wolf, and Margie Woodruff. If you have a name to add, I invite you to do so at this time. Our prayer for healing is on page 371. Mishepera avotenu mikor habraha Imotenu, may the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu, Mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shleima, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Last week I was on vacation, and vacation's a good thing, by the way. Part of being a rabbi is you work on the weekends. You're off usually Monday. Sometimes Monday you're kind of catching up on things. But also the work of a rabbi is very emotional work too, and it's important to be able to recharge. And so I always find I'm a better rabbi when I come back from a week away. And one of the things I like to do when I'm taking a little time off is read. And, I would think that maybe as a rabbi and taking a week off, I'd want to have a little bit of an escape from Judaism, but rather I find myself always being drawn to reading Jewish books that have been on my list that help me grow in my Judaism. And last week, I read Jonathan Sachs's book, Morality. The late Jonathan Sachs, his very last book, I believe, of many, many great books of his I own. And one of the things that Jonathan Sachs talks about in his book is about the dangers of social media on our youth and on society in general. And one of the reasons why is because of how addictive our screens and cell phones become. According to a study, and this was done before the pandemic, because I know that many of us now stare at screens all day long because all of our meetings are virtual and such. But before the pandemic, it was reported that in Gen Z, that's the folks born 1995 and later, that it was very common for youth, teenagers, and young adults in their early 20s to spend between 8 to 9 hours a day in front of screens, in front of computers, and in front of their cell phones, not doing work, but rather being on Facebook or Instagram or texting their friends. And what Sachs talks about is how this has created a culture of I rather than a culture of we. And there can be some good in that, but also though, this causes when we have a culture of I, where our focus is just us and not interacting with others in person, to be more isolated. And we're not going out as much. And he points to a lot of statistics that show a rise in depression and suicide among teens, particularly teenage girls, and in young adults in Britain and the United States, far more than decades before cell phones and social media. And he points to also that we need to be on our phones and on social media and all this because we have a fear of missing out on something, a fear of missing something in the world. but also we only see then, we only see through the lens of other people, like what they want us to see is what I'm trying to say. We don't see their entire story. I was talking to some friends this week, as Jill and I are expecting a child, we see among our friends who have babies that they get so excited, they post all these pictures and videos every day on social media. And we say, gosh, you look like you're having the best time, and I hope we can be as good of parents as you are, and we hope that we have as much fun parenting as you do. And they say, well, we only show you the happy moments. We don't show you all the diaper changings or the day that our child throws a complete tantrum. And as a result of that, I think, we then in turn have an expectation to show the rest of the world too how great our lives are and to keep up with that. There's even a whole phenomena of people going out. I watched a documentary on Netflix, I believe it was, where people would have a blue backdrop that looks like a sky, and they would hold up a toilet seat, I'm not making this up, right here, and look out of it and have somebody take a picture at an angle where it looks like they're looking out an airplane window, and then they'll tell their friends on social media or followers on social media, enjoying my time on my private jet. So that people think they have a private jet. It's a picture in them holding up a toilet seat. Can you believe that? And this has caused this addiction for us. And perhaps too the men most responsible for the creation of these things, Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, they have said that they're going to parent differently than how many others do. Even though they create this content that is addicting, they recognize how addicting it is. And so Bill Gates, for instance, when his daughter was a child, limited her to 45 minutes a day on weekdays of screen time and 1 hour a day on weekends. Well, as Rabbi Sachs was talking about all this, he said that a family approached him and told him that they learned about the Jewish concept of Shabbat. And they decided to have 1 day a week with no screens, no social media, no texting, and to call that special day Shabbat for their family. And they said it became the best day of their week, a day where they grew closer together, a day where they got to experience life, and a day where they didn't have to feel like they had to impress anyone. It was a day where they could disconnect from that stuff, but also rest. And that was their Shabbat day. Now, I know, trust me, I'm one of these people. It's hard to turn off. As somebody who gets about 100 emails a day, and apologies if I haven't gone back to you, so I'm still trying to answer all the emails I got from vacation, because I had to really train myself not to answer emails on vacation. There's a fear of falling behind, or a fear on missing out. But this helps us recharge. It's kind of like how in Judaism on the seventh year, we're supposed to let our crops have a year where we don't pick them so that they can recharge and regenerate themselves and be healthier. But that helps us also value what's truly important. Like when we put down our phones and see what is around us. Now I bring this up because in our Parsha this week, Vayachel, it says in it, 6 days shall you work, and on the seventh day you shall have a complete rest. And this comes right before the instruction of the tabernacle, of the building of the tabernacle. And this purposefully comes before the building of the tabernacle because that's such an important job. That's building the place of the tent of meeting where the people will communicate with God and worship. And I'm sure there'd be so much pressure to get it done and to work around the clock. But this mitzvah, this waiting, taking a day off, we're told about that before we're told to build the tabernacle, to remind us that taking a day of rest is even more important than building a house for God. And the Torah, though, it doesn't specify what constitutes as rest. It doesn't say you shall nap for this many hours or you should read a book for this many hours. No, it doesn't tell us what complete rest is. So could being on social media or binge watching Netflix or TikToks or texting our friends be relaxing? Sure, I think so. It's relaxing, but is it restful? Does it recharge us? Recharging requires charging. Not powering down, but charging. And that requires stimulation. And I'm going to be honest, this is how addicted I am. As I was writing this sermon, and I was trying to think of what to say, I mindlessly went to Facebook, didn't even realize I was on Facebook as I was writing this sermon about being on social media too much. And as I'm thinking, I just hit the down button on my laptop, and then I stopped on a friend's post that said in big letters, and this is a friend who posts way too much on Facebook, probably like 10 things a day. It says, "Stop scrolling," all capital letters. "Stop scrolling. Take a deep breath. Shabbat Shalom." And that's when I realized that I was scrolling down and not thinking about it. It's like when we channel surf. And that was completely mindless. But Shabbat shouldn't necessarily be a rest by turning our minds off. Shabbat should be a rest for our minds, not from our minds. Getting away from mindless screen activity can do this. Shabbat is an opportunity to increase our mindfulness and to think about what is important. What do you do that can bring calm and rest and recharge for you, as well as increase your mindfulness? Is it reading a book? Is it skiing or hiking? Is it playing with your dog? Talking to your grandchild? Going for a walk with your spouse? What can you do to show that Shabbat is unique? And what can you do to carve out and create holiness in time each week, one day a week, so that we can all be more mindful and more rested and more recharged and better the next week than we were the previous one? Shabbat Shalom. I would like to make some announcements. Like I said, hoping in the next couple weeks we can maybe switch to Friday nights on Zoom, since I got great feedback about that, and just give that a try. Don't know if it'll be next week or another week, but I've heard good responses. If you hate that idea, let me know. But I don't know. I miss seeing you all, and it was kind of nice for those 2 weeks to see people's faces and such. And next week, on Friday, we will be having at 5 o'clock, I believe. It's 5 or 5:30, I forget. We have our 2nd through 4th grade Shabbat before our regular Shabbat service, but everybody's welcome to that, as well as kids. And we have as well some adult educational activities coming up. We have our typical Intro to Jewish Life and Advanced Modern on Thursdays, as well as Advanced Modern Hebrew taught by Jana Zamir, and virtual study sessions with Rabbi Wenger and Faye Lincoln on Sundays and Wednesdays. But also Jana is going to start offering a new beginner Hebrew class. And there's going to be two components to the class. It's going to begin on Sunday, April 11th at 11 a.m. So it's going to be on Sundays at 11, starting on April 11th after Passover. And this is going to be, level 1 is Aleph Bet Basics. If you cannot read any Hebrew letters and you want to learn how to read, this is a class for you. And then 10 weeks later, June 20th at 11 a.m., Jana is going to have part 2 of that class, but you're welcome to start the class at that time if you already know how to read Hebrew, which is going to be beginner biblical Hebrew. So that class will fill up, I know. Each session is so with those 2 sessions, you'll have to register for each individually, and the cost will be $90 per session, so per level 1 and per level 2 for Kolami members and currently enrolled Intro Judaism students from the past year, and $125 for non-members of the synagogue. I'm excited for that. As a reminder as well, I got my vaccine this week, and people are getting vaccinated. This is exciting. So hopefully we can start traveling again. So tentatively we have rescheduled our Israel trip for December 21st of 2021 through January 2nd of 2022. So this coming December, and I hope you go with me on this trip. It will be a lot of fun, and it's a trip that's geared towards all ages. You can bring your kids or your grandkids or whomever if you'd like. Some other announcements coming up. Our next big holiday, of course, is Passover. And so a few things for Passover. Our Kosher for Passover wine sale is going on now. Place your order online, and we'll do curbside pickup at the synagogue. No on-site sales this year due to COVID. And we will be having a second night Seder that I'll be leading with Rabbi Levinsky at Har Shalom. This will be virtual on March 28th, Sunday, March 28th. More details to come. And finally, then we have, you've been hearing about the Spruce Up Your Seder stuff. Well, we have narrowed it down. Our Kolami Foodies judges have narrowed it down from 87 recipes that we received, which was almost $900 in donations as a result to the food bank. They've narrowed it down to their top 10 recipes to compete in a head-to-head matchup to win their categories. So now we need you to cook those recipes and to judge them between now and the end of Passover. And the recipes and scorecards can be found on our website. Finally, the very last announcement that I have is that we are having tomorrow night our very last synagogue night live. That's been a lot of fun. Thank you to the Cuomos for helping arrange that. That's going to be at 7:15. It keeps getting a little bit later as winter starts to disappear. So 7:15 p.m. March 13th, tomorrow evening. And this is a wonderful opportunity for us to connect with community and to hear some talent, and afterwards stick around and schmooze with each other and really connect after a year apart. So we're going to this week have Josh Lippman and his fiancee Kylene lead us in Havdalah, and then Nate Ginsberg, who is one of our students, is a senior in high school looking to go to college and study musical theater, is going to treat us to a monologue about bar mitzvah and a song from musical theater. And Danny Toriente will perform on vocals and guitar. The Sternfield girls, Kayla and Naomi, will highlight their talents via video from rock climbing and horseback riding. And then finally, Alan Bachman and Andalyn Bachman of Desert Wind will thrill us with their performance of Jewish music. with Alan playing keyboard and vocals and Andolin on the flute. As a reminder, you have to register in advance for this. The Zoom link can be found on our website and in your emails. So that is it for our announcements. Like I said, please get vaccinated. Vaccinations are going well. If you need help getting vaccinated, if you don't know how to, send me an email. I'll help you, I promise. We want to get everybody vaccinated. If you're 50 or over, you can get vaccinated. Let me know if you need help with that. But we're hoping that as the weather warms up, we can start getting together outside if people have been vaccinated, and then maybe even inside if people have been vaccinated. So, with that said, we are going to turn now to, and I just got a message too that didn't make it onto the little paper here, but a little bird just told me as well that Laja Field, daughter of Ira and Lily Field, is going to entertain us with a dance performance. Laja is a professional dancer and has danced all over the world. She's pretty incredible, so that will be something to check out as well. So we thank you to our staff who put all this together and who watches to make sure I don't forget anything. We're going to turn now to page 586, for the Aleinu, top Aleinu on the page. Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol ategu l'yotzer Breshit shehu notei shamayim v'yoser oretz umoshavi karo b'shamayim mima'al ushinat uzo b'govhei meromim u'eloheinu einot v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu Shehu notei shamayim v'yoser haaretz u'moshavi karot b'shamayim ima'al u'shchinatu zo b'govhei meromim u'eloheinu einot Emet malkeinu efesulato kakatuv betorato idatayom v'hashivota elevavecha ki Adonai hu ha'elohim b'shamayim imal ve'al haaretz mitachat einot Einot. Okay, nekaveh lecha Adonai Eloheinu. Katuv b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol ha'aretz hayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. There are stars up above, so far away, we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This time we think of those whom death has recently taken from us, and those as well who have died at this time in years past, and those with whom we draw into our heart with our own. And this week, in the period of Shloshim, we remember Betty Jean DeBell Spickard, sister of Fran Lappin, Robert Prodis, longtime member of Kolami and husband of Sue Prodis, Svetlana Kopyatovsky, the spouse of Leonid Kopyatovsky, and Gloria Etta Sussman, mother of Emily Bauman. And we also commemorate these Yortzites this week: Michael Burns, Elmer Bushkoff, Leo Cohn, Max Daniels, Paula Block Draper, Mark Dykes, Louis L. Fessinger, Gabriel Darcy Gibson, Harry Glick, Paul Greenholtz, Samuel Hinteliffe, Michael Haupt, Blessing Jenkins, Sophie Kaslowitz, Bunny Kaufman, Josephine Kogan, Israel Kruder, Marjorie Lemaire, Max Lazarus, Tolia Murrock, Beverly Rosenberg, Florence Rosenfeld, Hyman Rosenthal, Isaac Rubin, Abraham Scheinberg, Carolina Carla Schwager, Beatrice Schmuckler, Bert Spiegel, Herman Spiegel, Sarah Spiegel, Natalie Spitz, Hilda Steiglitz, Irene Serkey Tannenbaum, May Weinberg, Sophie Weiner, Faye Weisberg. And if you have a name to add, I invite you to do so at this time. Zichronam Livraha, may their memories be for a blessing. If you are in mourning, or is your tradition to do so, you're invited to rise. We are on page 598. As we say these words: Yikadah, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yalma Divrach Yirteh V'yimich Malchuteh, V'chayechon U'vyomechon U'chayeh Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalah V'zman Kari V'yimru Amen. Yeh Shmei Rabbah Mivrach Le'olam Omei Omaya. Yiprach V'yishtabach V'yipa'ar V'yitruman V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal. Shemei Dekudishah B'richu. Le'ela Mikol Bechata V'shirata. Tush Bechata V'nechemata. Da'am Yiram Be'alma V'yimru Amen. Yeh Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya. V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru Amen. Osei Shalom B'mromav. Hu Yaseh Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who are in mourning, comfort the bereaved among us. And again we say, Amen. And we will conclude. I hope you're staying healthy and safe. What's a good song to conclude with? Could just go with Osei Shalom, but I don't know if there's anything a little different. Might be just going with that. These are more of, no, these were. All right, so we will conclude with Osei. We'll conclude with Osei Shalom. Yeah, why not? All right. Osei Shalom Bimromav, Uyasei Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, Ve'meru Amen. Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yasei Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Stay safe and healthy.